What's up, everybody? Trinity here, and welcome back to Second Street, your source for the latest and greatest indie comic book reviews. And today, guys, we are talking about a couple of new titles coming out on AWA Upshot Studios. This is a new indie publisher that just came out this year. If you guys haven't been listening to me flap my gums about this company and all these books, you should probably go back and watch some of my live streams, but they're probably too long, and I get it. But today we're going to be talking about Bad Mother issue number 2, as well as The Resistance issue number 5. So let's go ahead and get right into this. We are going to talk about Bad Mother issue number 2 first. Now, this book is being written by Christa Faust. It has art by Mike Deodato Jr. The colorist here is Lee Loughridge, and Dezi Sienty is the letterer. I'll show you those names right there and go ahead and take a look at some of the art that you kind of get in this book. Now, this is, I think the first title that I've read on AWA Upshot Studios that don't have Sal Cipriano doing the lettering, and that's great. That's great. They're kind of growing their catalog here. Awesome, good to see. Now, Bad Mother, in case you didn't read issue number 1, I did neglect to do the review on issue number 1 because I actually got it a little bit late. I forgot it came out. They didn't have it at my LCS. I didn't have it on my pull list, but I got the digital. I read it. I'm gonna have them order it in here, but I got here through issue number 2. Now, what's going on in this story is we've got this average, just average house mother. Her name is April. Where we've seen in issue number 1, she's out shopping at the grocery store, kind of, just things going on. It seems like a regular, just kind of small town out there, maybe suburbia. And she's there shopping, and all of a sudden there ends up being a robbery. Well, there's this robbery going on. The cops come in, they get it all handled. They end up shooting the people who were there robbing the place. So she was feeling a little bit traumatized. Well, she ends up going home, to which we find out that her husband is out of town. Her son is getting ready to go out of town for a week to camp. She got a young son, and her daughter Taylor returns home from a date with her boyfriend, returns home late even, and she is beat up. So what she does, April decides to go out and confront her daughter Taylor's boyfriend. So she goes to his house to confront him, and she goes there and comes upon a murder scene, and she sees that him and all of his friends have been murdered. So she didn't know what to do. She's going through a lot, so she decides, she leaves. She doesn't call the cops, she leaves and goes to the police station. She wants to file a missing report on her daughter, as well as report this murder. So they get there back to the place with the authorities, and the place is cleaned up. You can't even tell that anybody's been murdered. No blood, nothing in the place. So naturally they think she's crazy, and she says, well, what about my daughter? And they're like, well, there's no signs of anything. There's no proof of anything. So she's sitting around, not really getting much help from the authorities. She gets home and she's kind of stewing on things. So she goes about and starts doing, her just average mom stuff, what she's doing while she's worried. And so she's there doing some laundry here in issue number 2. She's doing some laundry here at the beginning of the book, and she finds her daughter's cell phone just sitting there inside of the laundry detergent that she uses there, and all the little in the Tide Pods. Her daughter left the phone in the Tide Pods. Maybe her daughter was doing the Tide Pod challenge and left her phone there. I'm kidding. No, but so she finds her daughter's phone, and she starts going through her daughter's phone, and she's kind of surprised at some of the messages that she's seeing and just a lot of the stuff on there. So she goes to the authorities, and she goes back to talk to this detective, Detective Elkland, who is the detective who is there at the grocery store, who gunned down the assailants there. It's also the detective she went to initially about her daughter and these murders. And now that she has this proof that she got her daughter's phone, she went back to him, and she's sitting there telling him about everything that's going on. And he's kind of still not believing her, and he wants to keep the phone for evidence. She takes it to him, and he wants to keep the phone for evidence. She's like, nah. They haven't been much help, so she's weary to let them take it. So she ends up taking the phone. When she gets home, she's going through messages. She figures out the passcode on it. She's going through the messages. She starts looking through her daughter's Instagram and things like that, and just kind of really starts piecing together this little mystery here, and trying to basically solve the mystery of her missing daughter. And that's kind of where, you know, she starts putting a lot of pieces together, you know, like, so I like what's going on here in this book, where we kind of see, like, you know, just the average mother going out there trying to find her daughter because the authorities aren't being much help. But we also see the use of social media and how it kind of plays into this, where even an average mother who's, you know, just, you know, she's a homemaker for the most part here that we know so far, can get out there on social media and kind of track people down. There's a lot of things kind of at play here in this book, and I gotta tell you, I love it. I love the books they're doing at AWA Upshot Studios, and you guys got to go out to your local comic book shop and check out some of the books that they've got. They've got plenty of good ones here. Coincidentally, they're all lined up here. That's weird. Like, it's not normally like that, right? It's like I did that on purpose, right? Nah, I don't know. Let's go ahead and get here into the next one. Now, if you got to read Bad Mother, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. If you haven't, does it sound like something that you might be into? You know, just average housewife, you know, homemaker, going out to find out the mystery of her daughter who's been caught up in this human trafficking scheme? Because that's what happened. Did I forget the human trafficking part? I probably did. Go out and read it. Again, AWA Upshot doing a very good job with these books. The next one we are going to talk about here is The Resistance, issue number 5 of 6, written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Mike Deodato Jr. The colorist here is, oh man, I forgot the colors here all of a sudden, is Lee Loughridge as well. And Sal Cipriano is the letterer, and Razzah is the cover artist. I'll show you those names. Now, The Resistance here, this is a very interesting book. Now, this is basically the first title that came out on AWA Upshot Studios. It is a 6-issue miniseries that was setting up this whole shared world called the Axelverse. But it was set up here in The Resistance, and what happened here was there was a pandemic that swept across the world, and all these different nations reacted different. I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking like, gee, this kind of sounds like, I know, you're probably looking out your front door, your windows, your computer screen, I don't know, wherever you're sitting at, you're pressing like, does this sound a little familiar? A little bit. Well, what's going on here is this pandemic swept across the world. A lot of people died. A lot of people were affected. They got sick. And then all of a sudden, just like that, they got well again. But some people ended up getting powers out of it. So it's almost like the X-Men, or almost a little more like the Inhumans, with the Terrigen Mists. But it's kind of like that, where a lot of these people ended up getting these different powers. And all around the world, it affected different people through all kinds of economic classes and everything. Just everybody was affected by it. And we see that the different governments have been doing stuff. Well, what this story concentrates on, for the most part, is what is going on in America, as we see that the now president, who is a third-party candidate, had gotten voted in, is they're trying to kind of bring in some very authoritarian type things to put a stop to this, and all of these people who have developed these superpowers. Now, at the same time, the superpowers, a lot of these people are kind of registering, almost like, I know, it sounds like a lot of other things you read in some comic books, very similar. But they all have to register and all these different kinds of things so they can be identified. Well, we also see that the governments are reacting in their own ways. And we see that one of the advisors, the Secretary of Defense here, who looks like Harvey Keitel, and oh, did I mention that the president, he looks like Ed Harris. Yeah, I know, it's great, right? Anyway. So we get here into the story, and we find out that obviously they are fighting back against these nations who are basically making all these people with these superpowers, now they are basically making them slaves. They are imprisoning them. They're being persecuted and all that stuff. Like I said, very similar to the X-Men, but it is a little more politically charged and a little bit more set in like a realistic type world. And everything that's going on in this book was absolutely great. Issue number 5 here of The Resistance, just doing a phenomenal job. The story in this book is great. The art in this book is really good. I mean, I like the art here as well. There's a lot of things going on in this book that I really do enjoy. And like I said, what they're doing over here at AWA Upshot Studios with all of their books, making a lot of these, kind of a shared world universe, and just everything they're doing here. the stories they're telling, the art that they're doing in these books, the things that you want out of a good comic book, the things that you want out of a good publisher. You can find it right here in AWA Upshot Studios in these titles and all the other titles they have. They have Hotel that just recently wrapped up with its 4th issue just a few weeks ago. They have Red Border, same thing, 4-issue miniseries just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. Here, I believe next week, Archangel 8. Issue number 5 is getting ready to come out. Wrapping up that one, another great book. They have a wide variety of titles for you to go out there and check out, and they're only expanding their library. They get a new one getting ready to come out in a couple months called American Ronin? I believe it's American Ronin. And then they've also got a second series of one of their first ones that hasn't even ended yet, Year Zero. The second season is going to be starting in another couple months after we get the issue number 5 of that here in just a couple of weeks. So I'm telling you guys, have you read any of the AWA Upshot Studios books? Have you read any of them? If so, what did you think about them? Did you read The Resistance? If so, what do you think about it? Do you like it? I love it. It's a good book. Bad Mother, a good book. I like what they're doing over there. Bill Jemis, Axel Alonso. If you guys ever watch this video, and all of the artists here working on these books, if you watch this video, every single one of you, keep up the good work, what you're doing, and I'll keep doing my job and spreading the word about them because I like what you guys are doing with all of these titles. Definitely make sure that you get out to your local comic book shop and check these out. And if you don't have a local comic book shop near you, I can't fault you for getting on Comixology and reading these books because they're so good. But that's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the 2nd Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed. Click the little bell and all of that good stuff if you like hearing me flap my gums about comic books. But while you're at it, make sure you share with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the 2nd Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Get out and support your local comic book shop. Get out and support AWA Upshot Studios. Tell them I sent you, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.